First thing I want to say is, in the past, I know how important and I know what it meant to us for the Red Cross to be there. I'm so grateful for what the Red Cross did then and what they do now. And before I say anything, I want to make it known how grateful not only me, but there are those like me that will forever be grateful for the Red Cross. Now about me, Leslie Edwards. I'm 92 years old. Okay. Now, what you have to understand is the war effort, World War II. I'm thinking, you got to remember 1945. But in World War II, there was 16 million military people, United States military people, 16 million. Of that 16 million, it was 900,000 who had African ancestry. Of 16 million, it was 900,000 of those who had African ancestry participating in World War II. And before World War II, there were those who had, in the military organizations, War Department, they had came to a decision of that 900,000. That 900,000 were not to be prepared for combat because they were unfit. This has been documented, and this what was decided by those who was going to carry us into the war. That 900,000 was, when it was a waste of taxpayers' money to train those for combat. Okay, in that 900,000, they never saw what I witnessed. I was one of the few. I was one of the very few that witnessed something. Most people, they wouldn't believe what I saw. Most people didn't. In the military, what I witnessed, 1945, what I witnessed was my squadron commander was the captain. He was black. I was in the 477th Bombardment Group, and all of our flights was led by a black officer. On that base, Godman Field, the base commander was black, Colonel B.O. Davis, Jr. On that base, the 477 Bombardment Group was a black commander. They never expected out of that 900,000, there'd be a time when there'd be a situation where you could be looking, where a black person or anybody could be looking at that many blacks that were in command positions, officers at Godman Field. That's what we were doing. How did that happen? It happened because an officer named Colonel Selway, who had been our commander, had made the big mistake of arresting over 100 black officers. That had never been done nowhere at no time. You arrested, Colonel Selway issued an illegal order, demanded these officers comply with that illegal, which they wouldn't do. So he arrested them. When he arrested them, the minute he arrested them, all kind of messages was going out. All the girls, the wives, the sweethearts, the mothers, when they found out, they was writing to everybody. Information got to the NAACP. At that time, they sent a message to the president. Next day, Roosevelt died. Truman took over. When Truman took over, and he got the information about what was happening, he contacted the very top man, George C. Marshall. This is 1945. He contacted George C. Marshall. George C. Marshall, he had an investigation team from the Pentagon to come out and check, find out what's going on. Why is this happening? When they came out and checked and found out what Colonel Selway had done, they found out Colonel Selway, head of the 477 Bombardment Group, Colonel Selway, his superior was General Hunter. They had an arrangement where the 477th, we had 3 squadrons, 616, 617, 618, 619. All of those squadron commanders were white. And they had personnel who had more flying time, more skill at doing whatever needed to be done. They would not promote a person with African ancestry to be in a command position under Colonel Selway and Monk Hunter. When they investigated and found out what Colonel Selway and Monk Hunter were doing, they would make arrangements for young white officers who may become a first lieutenant or captain to come in and take over the position as a commanding officer of one of the squadrons. He stayed there maybe a month, a few weeks. They'd move him out, bring another set of white officers, have them stay there for about a month. Now, this is what the investigating team found, and this is what the black officer there knew and had put a complaint in about it, and nothing was done. But when they had all those arrests, and Truman, George C. Marshall, found out what had happened, then George C. Marshall, Truman, they know something has to change. Well, they knew the awesome record that Colonel B.O. Davis had in Europe. They had one of the most outstanding combat records that ever happened when it comes to bringing people back alive. Their record as escort, they was escorting bombers and the Tuskegee Airmen. They had that reputation of bringing back people alive. They not only did the thing of killing the enemy, but they was bringing back our boys back alive, and they got no other organization had that kind of record, none. But after that thing happened so ugly with Colonel Selway, they had B.O. Davis come over and take over the base. When they had him take over the base, they put him in command of the 477, and that's why I wound up being in a situation where I had all the leaders I was serving under. This was very unique. Most people never knew about anything like that happening, and most people don't know about it now until I'm telling it to you. But that base, Godman Field, was so well run, and Colonel B.O. Davis put us in shape. I was a part of it at that time. And at that particular time, the role I was playing had changed quite a bit because, see, when I went in service, I couldn't make it to the 10th grade. When I was in service, I had been cheap labor, dishwasher, fry cook. That was me. But I wind up with the Tuskegee Airmen, and how they wind up putting somebody like me, who had been part of the group, it was supposed to never fit in anything that had to do with combat. But I'm winding up with these guys, and they decided that I could be a mechanic. Now, I didn't know a wrench from a screwdriver. Yeah. But when they hooked me up with those fellas, the Tuskegee Airmen as a group, they was all better educated than myself. They got together with me and they stroked me. When I left the training situation, I wound up being a mechanic. Later, they said, he's so good, we'll make him the crew chief. Later on, I was so good, they made me flight chief. So when I was at Godman Field, 1945, I was serving that combat outfit as a flight chief. So now from being unable to make it to the 10th grade, wind up with 5 medium bombers, 5 crew chiefs, 30 aircraft and mechanic. At that time, and that's serving under B.O. Davis, serving under my squadron leader, C.I. Williams. These were dynamite folk. And when B.O. Davis came back from Italy, he brought the 99th Pursuit Squadron with him. Them was some beautiful dudes. They flying P-51s, and the head of their squadron was Major Campbell, 24-year-old. The dude was beautiful. Yeah. But so, at that time, myself at that time, I had a wife and 2 little girls. So, November the 27th, I received an honorable discharge and went back home to get me some education. So that's a good part of my story. But one part you should know more about, is about those that was arrested. Those arrested was 104 was arrested. And as soon as George C. Marshall got on the scene, he cut them loose, which Monk Hunter didn't like, Selway didn't like. So they screamed, they said, well, you got 3 of them that got violent, and we want to court-martial them for sure, which they did. They court-martialed those 3, and they had a fellow from Cincinnati. His name, somebody may have heard this name before, Ted Berry. Ted Berry was an attorney here in Cincinnati. He became the first black mayor of Cincinnati. Thurgood Marshall, who was the attorney that usually handled things for the end of it, he was tied up with a mess that had happened out there with the Navy. You know, the Navy did some weird things. So he asked Ted Berry to defend the Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen was effectively defended, except 2 of them got off. One of them was convicted. And his convicted, they stripped him of his commission, and they fined him $150, and he was disarmed and discharged. But Ted Berry had did such an effective job, he had it put in the record showing that illegal order had been issued, and the illegal order is what caused the problem. So it never should have been arrested in the first place. So in 1995, the military had Terry Rogers, the one that got convicted, brought in and made him know that everything about his conviction was wiped out. When they did that, Terry Rogers jumped up, knocked the table over, knocked the coffee over and everything. So he got his money back, $150. He got his rank back. Actually, I'm gonna tell you, he never paid that $150, but because a collection was made among the fellas, and we paid that $150. So everything worked out because the military made the change, and that change moved the nation in the right direction. That change made the armed forces more efficient and more effective, and they opened opportunities up for everybody. Lord, when they did that, women stepped in. And it ain't never been the same.